couple years ago I made a blueberry video and 100 people watched it. My wife made a grapevine video and how many people watched it?
You say 2,000 people?
200,000 people watched it, 760 thumbs up, a lot of comments. And now, a couple years later, we're going to try to do grapevine cuttings again. Okay, let's quickly recap the original 2013 video. We wanted a whole field of grapevines, but we didn't want to go to the store and buy every one. We were wondering if we could get successful cuttings off our existing plants. So we took some cuttings, dipped them in rooting powder, and then put them in water. 5 weeks later, we couldn't believe the amount of growth we had. So last year, my next door neighbor was going to sell their house. We had a surveyor come, and my grapevines were on the border of our property. So I had to move my grapevines. We thought as long as we're going to move them, we're not just going to throw away the grapevines. We tried to replant them, and here's a photo of a grapevine. We've got new growth on it, so the grapevines are actually going to live. The second thing we did is let's take some more grapevine cuttings. As long as we're moving stuff around, let's make grapevine cuttings. And we didn't have a lot of success. I don't think that these are alive. Here's the one that did good. And in 2013, we used hormone, rooting hormone. This time we didn't use any rooting hormone. We wanted to try different sizes. We just threw some in water and some we put in soil. So we're going to talk about grapevine cuttings today. Green grapevine cuttings and brown grapevine cuttings. Alright, so the ones we've got in water, it's really easy to see if they're going to grow into a plant or they didn't work. This was our best one. And I wanted to see if something this thick would work. At one point, this had new growth on it. It had a new leaf. But since then, I think it's died. I don't see any roots. You look for new growth, roots. If you take off the top, is it green inside? And this is completely brown. So at one point, this was going to work for us, but it didn't. And we've got two. In 2013, we put everything in water. This time, we put some in soil. So what do you think? Dead or alive?
No, 50-50.
All right, I guarantee they're dead. Let's see if we see any roots.
Nothing.
No roots. No leaves or growth. If I break this, is it going to be brown or green?
Maybe brown. Yeah, brown.
Completely brown. This one didn't work for us.
These two the same thing?
Any roots?
No, no root. Nothing.
No, nothing. The two we put in soil, absolutely nothing. Okay, one of my favorite things about YouTube is the comment section. And I think we had around 50 comments to our other grapevine cutting video. And we'll try to do a little Q&A. We'll answer some questions. Tony wrote in and said the cuttings need to be pencil thick. Well, that's what we did in 2013. This time, I wanted to try some skinny ones. We tried some fatter ones. Obviously, we were successful with this. This is maybe the thickness of my thumb. And I think Tony's right. I think the best is about the thickness of a pencil. The only thing I'll say is with the skinny ones we tried, they're too fragile. They break and disintegrate before they got time to get a root system and get sturdy. This is the exact bottle that we used in 2013. Green light rooting hormone. Scott wrote in and said, don't use hormone on edible plants. Use dip and grow. And we went to Home Depot and we found this. Rooting powder. If I can read the company. Bond Tone rooting powder. And it's specifically made for edible fruit-bearing plants. And if you were going to buy some rooting powder, I would agree with Scott and make that distinction. Use the kind that's for fruit-bearing plants. And then we got other suggestions. People said use honey. People said use cinnamon. John said dissolve a B complex vitamin in the water. John and Sarah wrote in and said use aloe vera. So that's going to be a future video. We're going to try out honey and a lot of different stimulants to get that root growth. Trail Riding wrote in and said, how often do you change the water? Anytime we try to grow a grapevine cutting and just use water, probably it would be preferable to use soil. The first time I did it, I used water just because I wanted to watch and see what was happening. But if you were to try water with a grapevine cutting, I would change the water every 2 weeks. And the last big question we got in our comment section was, when did you take the cuttings? This year, I can remember that we took these cuttings on July 4th. In 2013, we took the cuttings around the end of June, the beginning of July, and we had results with rooting hormone in 5 weeks. I'm filming this, it's almost October, and we took these cuttings in July, and we don't have much root growth. But to answer the question, we took ours at the beginning of summer, and that's a good idea for a future video. In the dead of winter, when your plants are dormant, could you get successful cuttings? As long as I've bought this, now that we're into fall, we'll probably have snow within a month and a half. I'm going to try to take some cuttings now and see what kind of luck we have with it. So that'll be a future video. Take cuttings different times of the year.